Hey there, and welcome. Have you ever thought about what it would be like to turn back the clock on aging? I'm not just talking about wrinkles, but the actual process inside our bodies that leads to disease. Well, today, we're going to dive into some absolutely fascinating science that's trying to do exactly that. I mean, just imagine it. What if scientists could literally offer you an immortality pill, a treatment that could just stop the aging process cold? Sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi movie, right?
So let me ask you, would you take it? It's a huge question, and honestly, it's becoming less and less hypothetical every single day. The science here is moving way faster than you probably think.
But while that idea of an immortality pill is super interesting, the real goal for scientists today is actually a little different. And you could argue it's even more important. It's not just about adding more years to our lives, it's about adding more life to our years. And that's where this idea of health span comes in. See, here's the problem we're all facing. We are living longer than any generation before us, which is great. But the flip side is that we're also spending more and more of those extra years dealing with chronic issues, things like heart disease, diabetes, arthritis. The real mission is to fix that imbalance. So let's just break this down real quick. Lifespan, that's easy. It's just the total number of years you're alive. But health span, that's the good stuff. That's the number of years you're healthy, you're active, you're free from disease. The ultimate goal is to make those two numbers, lifespan and health span, match up as closely as possible. And this leads to a massive, game-changing shift in thinking. Instead of playing whack-a-mole, treating each disease one by one as it pops up, what if we could go after the one thing that's the root cause of almost all of them? What if we could treat aging itself? Which brings us to the first major strategy scientists are looking at, and it's a wild one, getting rid of something they've nicknamed zombie cells. Okay, so their technical name is senescent cells. Basically, they're old, worn-out cells that have reached the end of the line. They're supposed to die, but they don't. They just hang around. And like zombies, they cause a ton of trouble, creating inflammation and damaging all the healthy, normal cells around them. So, why does this even happen? Well, it has a lot to do with these things called telomeres. The best way to think about them is like those little plastic tips at the end of your shoelaces. They're protective caps on the ends of our DNA, and they stop our genetic code from fraying. So here's how it goes down. Every single time one of our cells divides, those little telomere caps get a tiny bit shorter. And after about 50 divisions, give or take, those telomeres are pretty much gone. To stop a disaster from happening, the cell flips a switch and goes into this zombie state. It's a safety feature, really, but it kind of backfires as we get older and more of these things pile up. And get this, the results from animal studies are just mind-blowing. Scientists engineered mice so they couldn't accumulate these zombie cells. And those mice didn't just live longer, we're talking up to 30% longer, they lived better. They were more active, and their organs worked like they belonged to much younger animals. Now, obviously, we can't genetically engineer people, but scientists have found other ways to get rid of these zombie cells. One really promising idea is a protein injection that basically tells these bad cells to self-destruct. In mice, it wiped out 80% of the zombie cells, and the mice got healthier. They even started regrowing lost hair. So the huge next step is, you guessed it, human trials. All right, so that's solution one. Take out the trash. Get rid of the zombie cells. But that's only half the battle. Solution two is all about refueling the good cells we have to keep them running in top condition. And this is where a molecule called NAD+ comes in. Think of it like the maintenance crew for your cells. It's a coenzyme that's constantly telling our cells to take care of themselves, to repair damage, clean up waste, and just keep everything in working order. It's absolutely essential. Now here is the really shocking part. As we get older, our levels of NAD+ just plummet. By the time you're 50, you only have about half the amount you did when you were 20. That decline is a huge driver of all sorts of age-related problems. I mean, just look at this chart. It really hammers the point home, doesn't it? You can see just how steep that drop-off is as we get older. This right here is one of the key reasons we feel the effects of aging. But, and this is a big but, here's the good news. Scientists figured out they could boost NAD+ levels back up in older mice. And the results? They were incredible. We're talking rejuvenated skin, brain, and muscle cells. Their bodies got way better at repairing their own DNA, and yeah, they even lived a little bit longer. This is a very, very serious contender for a future anti-aging therapy. Okay, so we've talked about clearing out the old and refueling what's already there. So, what's the third major strategy? Well, it's all about bringing in brand new replacements. And for that, we need to talk about stem cells. The easiest way to think of stem cells is like the body's master blueprints. They're these incredible cells that can become almost any other type of cell. So they can create a steady supply of fresh, young cells to repair our tissues and organs. The problem is, just like NAD+, our supply of stem cells dwindles as we get older. So what happens if you give an old mouse an injection of young stem cells? Well, the results are pretty amazing. Their brains and muscles started working better. They lived about 10% longer. Their hearts got healthier. They could exercise for 20% longer. And yeah, you guessed it, their hair even regrew faster. It's like a full body tune-up. So, after looking at all this incredible futuristic research, what does the future of aging actually look like for us humans? Well, first things first, we gotta be realistic. There is not going to be a single magic bullet. Curing or at least slowing down aging is probably going to require a cocktail of therapies. Maybe clearing out zombie cells, boosting NAD+, and using stem cells to repair damage. It's a complicated problem, so it's going to need a multi-part solution. And here is the big, capital letters caveat. Almost everything we've talked about today was done in mice. And, well, mice are not just tiny people. There is absolutely no guarantee that these therapies will be as safe or effective for us. That's why human trials are the absolutely crucial next step. Look, this research is all still pretty early, but it's opening up a whole new world of possibilities. It's making us ask some big questions, not just about how long we'll live, but how well we'll live. So I'll just leave you with this to chew on. If you could pick one age to stay at forever, what age would you choose, and why? It's a fun thing to think about in a world where science is making the impossible seem possible. Thanks so much for joining me.